How you
Excellent.
doing?
You what?
That's good. How you doing?
Doing great. So part two, the dive jump. We're talking about, I said, I was talking about how the shit things about diving in Israel. And essentially, you know, I, it's hard to find, for me, it's hard to find negative things. It's accessible, it's cheap, the diving is phenomenal. Um, Good visibility. Like you said, if you come from Eilat and you get on a boat, and I went diving in Portugal, Mediterranean Sea, Atlantic Ocean, that side of it, not the Med Sea, but the Atlantic Ocean side of it. You have to go out on a boat. And it just happened to be that my very small, not very physically fit dive buddy, she was with me. And and she breathes very, very well. She doesn't breathe, but she's not physically strong. She can't she needs help with all the lifting things and moving things, and basically a princess. Um, and there was an Israeli guy on the boat. We met him on the docks. We had nothing with us. We were renting everything. You show up at a dive shop. It's a five-star paddy, blah 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 blah, whatever it is, right? No questions. It's just here you go. Here's the tanks. You just get on the boat. There's
Enjoy.
a guy. There's a guy. There's a guy. He puts the stuff on the boat for you. Before you get off the boat, he comes over. The dive master comes over. All you have to do is sit on the side, the side of the boat. He puts the tank on you, gives you a buddy check. You fall backwards, and we go in the water. Come out of the dive. Beautiful dive. Come out of the dive, and the guy says, "Oh my God, the current, the visibility, the waves. It was so difficult." And I was like, dude, have you only ever dove in Eilat? Like, what? Have you only done like 30 dives in Eilat? He says, yeah, pretty much. I was like, and she comes out of the water and she's like, oh, this was a great dive. She's used to getting battered by waves and big, getting on and off boats. Look, on the one hand, there is a customer service mindset that just does not exist in Israel. There is a there is a big, strong, hairy chest, I know everything mentality that just is a little bit too much. Um, I have seen things. And you know this example quite well. We talked about this before. But I show up to a dive shop and I want to do some technical dives. Certified, I have a buddy. All's well. I want to, and I'm not even doing big dives. I'm doing like 50 meters, right? So it's like basically twin set and a deco bottle. And I was like, yeah, let me just grab some gear and go. And this is a technical dive shop in Israel. They do technical courses there. He does like trimix or whatever. The people there do like trimix courses and side mount and rebreathers and everything. The guy says, technical diver, I shouldn't even be renting you gear. You should have your own gear.
Okay, you want to send me
And
some gear?
because if you're a serious technical diver, you should have your own gear.
I have
And
it.
I look at him and I say, what I heard you say is that your gear here is shit. It's not appropriate for simple technical diving. And I mean, and he saw what Twin set and Deco bottle I was asking for. I mean, it was going to be like the maximum depth I would have gone to like was 52, I think, with the mix that I had in there.
Okay.
If you go to 1.6, and he knew this. I mean, this guy is a master instructor of everything, right? Cave diver, deep, wreck, everything diver, right? Dove all over the world, knows everything. I'm like, that's what you just told me. When you say that, I understand where it comes from. It comes from like, if you take yourself seriously, as a technical diver, you should be diving with your own gear that you know and you understand. But the attitude of I shouldn't even be giving you that attitude is. I went to technical diving recently, like 3 weeks ago. I did technical diving, and again 5-star patty. one of those Papagayo resorts, like the dive shop sits inside of a Papagayo resort. They do, I mean, they have a foot bath, a special foot bath, so that you don't get your feet dirty before you put the booties on.
Okay.
Okay? Right by the where you gear up. Uh, Air conditioned classroom. They order from the lunch for when you take a course there, they order lunch from the restaurant. Amazing, amazing, amazing service. I show up, and you've heard this. I've been there before. I show up with my 20-year-old backplate and wing, which you remember that one, right? 20-year-old. And I still had, I think, did I still have the Titans back then? I may have even had the Aqualung Titan. Again, you can't even get parts kits for these. They're so old. I've been doing all the service myself for 20 years on them. I
Okay.
show up in that, and he looks at it and he goes, "Why do you bring your trash gear into my dive shop?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Look." He shows me the rack, and he's like, "Look at all this gear. It costs the same whether you rent from me. I don't have a price with rental, without rental. It costs the same per day, whether you rent from me or not. You bring all of your trash gear. United probably, the airline probably broke your regulator. I don't even know who serviced it last time." He's like, "I have brand new gear. I buy 10 new sets every year. Brand new, brand new regulators from Scuba Pro every year.
It's
I'm going
different.
to give them to you."
It's different service.
A different mindset. And he knew I was coming. So 3 weeks ago, and this was like a few years ago, but 3 weeks ago, he knew I was coming. And when I landed and I came to the shop, he's like, "I dove it yesterday to make sure that they're okay. They came out of service. I knew you were here. The back plate is set up. We might have to make this a little bit longer or shorter. Like I dove it the way that I think I know you're going to dive it. And it looks like everything should be okay."
You're a VIP customer.
No, and I'm not. This is just a regular customer. I'm not even spending that much with these guys. It's just a regular. This is like their regular service. Is the mindset of you show up here with your gear. That means that it's not my technician that looked at it. It's not. I don't know the gear that well. I'm not sure if you bought something new and you're not exactly sure how to use it. I give you my gear. I rent you my gear, and it's perfect. The mindset of service is great. Like, look, you go to anywhere in South America, Honduras, right? Rotan, very famous. All the Israelis like to go there because it's very cheap to dive there. You go there, he tells you, you're putting tanks on the boat and you want to help, right? You want to. Big, strong man. You want to grab a couple of tanks and walk onto the boat with them. And the guy stops me and he says, "Dude, what are you doing? If you slip and fall on the dock and you hurt your leg because you're old," he didn't say that. But what are you doing? I have guys that I pay them $10 a day. Jorge and Luis and whatever, Martinez.
You
He's like,
gotta
if one of
pay.
them falls and breaks his leg, the next guy just shows up and picks it up. But if you don't dive today, if you break your leg or something happens to you today, not only are you not diving, your buddy's not going to dive with you either, because she only wants to dive with you. And I lose all this money from you not diving, and you had a bad time. He's like, let them do, if you don't think they're doing it fast enough, I'll get more guys. But for $10, I got 5 guys willing to haul all the gear into the boat. And he's like, "I promise you, we're going to be back here like we do this all the time. At 12:01, we're back on the dock. 12 in a minute. I'm back on the dock. Don't worry. You don't have to do anything." That's the mindset of a dive shop that thinks like service and 5-star service. And we just don't have that in Israel. It just doesn't exist that way.
We don't
It's
have
more
people
like,
that
no, you
work
have to
for,
lift your own gear. If you can't walk with your own gear into the water, you shouldn't dive.
no, we don't have people that work for $10 a day. And
There's
when
no
you
people who
pay
work for
and
$10
when
a
you
day.
pay $100 a day to a worker, you cannot
Yep.
pay for a lot of them to carry your equipment. And there is two ways to think about it. But both ways are okay. If I'm going to, we were in the Maldives together, and we went out of the boat, the dive. We put the equipment on the boat and went away. Went to eat.
Yeah.
We came back. The equipment was there with a fresh tank, ready to dive again. And they even had the water with soap for us to put in the mask, so we don't need to spit in it. So it's amazing. It's VIP. You pay
Thousands of
$3,000,
dollars.
and you get this VIP service. But I don't feel that a good diver needs this luxury. My dream is to always have somebody to take apart. I don't mind to put together my equipment. I even prefer it. I don't trust really anybody to put the regulator for me on the tank. I prefer to do it myself. But I love the idea that I just throw it away and it will wait for me dry and washed and just put in the bag and go away. It's a dream. But in Israel, as you said, it's very easy to dive in a lot and it's cheap because you just pay, I don't know, $60 or whatever. And,
$60 full gear rental
yeah,
and
and
I think
then
it's another $10
your
per
tank.
tank.
So
Yeah.
so you just take the equipment and the tank and put it together and go into the water. You walk 20 meters and you're in the water, and then you swim 20 meters and you're at 30 meters deep.
Yep.
So it's very simple. And it's not the kind of diving environment that you have somebody that go after you and carry your tanks and. But again, there are some dives there that you can go on a boat and it's like that. And maybe they have workers or instructors to put the tanks on the boat and etc. etc. But it's different kind of vacation. You're talking about going to some exotic place and you have people that get paid very cheap, so the dive center can have 10 people working around and carry stuff for people. And to get to these places, you need to pay a lot of money, even if it's cheap to dive
Yeah.
in
No,
Honduras.
no,
To get to
I
Honduras
agree.
is fucking expensive. So uh, you need to put it on a scale. This is one kind of a dive, and this is another kind of a dive.
I think the so you go to some places and they when you're doing a boat dive and they recognize that people moving around the boat, everyone trying to change, BCDs to new tanks is just there's too much chaos, too much going on. It doesn't it's not faster, it's just faster to let the dive masters do all of them. They can switch them in the surface interval. They can switch all of the tanks quickly much quicker with a lot less people moving around the deck, with a lot less, possibility of ruining a regulator or like slamming a tank down on something or, busting someone's finger or something like that on a bungee. Um, and look, we both worked on boats as dive masters, and that this is true. I mean, it's just easier for dive master to change all six tanks, including their own, than to have everybody, doing it at the same time and then, potentially getting hurt or potentially like just creating a lot of chaos while the boat is trying to, the captain's trying to move the boat, you're trying to untie, you're trying to get to the new place. So I think that you just have to remember the mindset. So some of the times, some of the things that come off as ego in Israel or as like puffery. Puffery is like when you puff yourself up, right? When people are like, I'm big, I'm strong, I can do everything. You should be big and strong like me and you should do everything. When you come in as a princess who's used to five-star, two tank Caribbean dives where everything is done for you and you just walk on the boat and walk off the boat and you're a princess, you don't even bring your gear because they don't want you to bring your gear. Um, then when you come to Israel, it can be frustrating. And you come back with an overall negative experience. But instead of explaining it like, hey, we are, the way we do things is not because we have a big ego or because we hate you or because we think you're stupid, because that's kind of the way that we can make money well and the way that we make this super available. That would be a better explanation than saying like we do this because that's how we do it. See, so that's the difference. The difference is the attitude. It's not the actual. Look, I've been to plenty of places where the attitude is like you go to a shop, you grab two tanks, you put them in your car, adios. You just drive to some beach or drive onto your buddy's boat. Florida, that's how it goes. You get on some charter boat, you go to you go to a dive shop, and then you get on a boat, and then you go diving, and you come back, you bring the tanks back. They don't care. They don't listen. They don't do anything for you. You do everything for yourself. I think it's important to be able to do things for yourself. I think diving in Israel, if you're an Israeli or if you live in Israel, because it is so incredibly accessible, you should take full advantage of every possibility that you have to improve your diving capability. You should go and do it, because by the time that you do get to Palau and you're spending thousands of dollars in flights and 30 hours to get there, or by the time that you're going to the Caribbean, look, you live in New Jersey, you get on a plane, you're in Aruba, you're in St. John's, you're in where the Epstein Island was, or you're in the Bahamas, and you're either doing a liveaboard, or let's say you're just doing Caribbean dives, two tank dives. They can do everything for you. 5-star, like I said, they can do everything for you. They can take you, they can put the gear on you, they can move all the tanks for you, they can assemble the gear, they can disassemble it, clean it off, they can do everything for you. The one thing they cannot do for you is dive for you.
Yeah. And people really think that they finished the basic course and they know how to dive, and they're right. But after 2 months from the course, they don't know shit.
It's impossible to me, but listen, how is it possible that look, who is the best basketball player in the world right now?
LeBron James?
Let's say, right? So he has one coach for penalty shots, fouls, right? He has one specific coach for dribbling, one coach for strategy, and he has 3 or 4 managers for his lifestyle and his Instagram and whatever. And that's what it takes to be an NBA superstar. And these people think that they did a course in, I think the mandatory time in Israel is like 5 days for an open water, or advanced open water is like 6 or 7 days, right? Is the
Yeah.
minimum time. There's a
Open
law
water,
in
open
Israel,
water and advanced is 7 days, yes.
but there's a law. It's by law. You can't do an open water in 2 days like you can do it in Thailand.
When I worked in Mexico, I had an argument. I told them, listen, I'm not going to certify somebody after 3 days of open water. But he told me, what's the problem? In PADI, we need to do only
You
four
did
open
4 dives. You did 4 dives. You
And
did
I,
all the
and I
confined.
said, okay, well, let's do a course that we do 6 open water dives. After we did 2 days of, the pool dives, and we'll have 5 days of course, and people get what they need to become very good divers. And they told me, I don't want to give extra. So after
There's
two
no
weeks,
market for it.
after two
And,
weeks,
and,
I finished the work in this dive center because I was in Israeli standard.
but
I
I
said,
I
I'm not
like
going to
this
lower my
course. But I
standard.
like the idea. Look, these courses in Cozumel that take 3 days, right? You do 1 day confined, and then you do 2 days of two tank dives, and you got your 4 dives in, and you're done with all of your, PADI or SSI or NAUI or whatever. I don't care. This is not about the agency. It's about like the how good you are in the water. But even the 5 day course in Israel, I like that some of the instructors are just not that good, because I do scuba coaching and I take people and I'm like, there's no card. You don't get a card with me at the end. I just teach you how to do something else, something new. Buoyancy, propulsion. Uh, Instead of diving like this, you dive like that on your back, right? Something stupid. It doesn't even matter what. And they come out better divers. I don't have to pay insurance. I don't have to pay the agency. There's no course that I have to teach for. There's no e-learning, like on the computer or anything. There's none of that. It just doesn't happen. And these people, I think coaching is very important. I think the the courses in Israel, I think, are in general, because the rules are that you have to do 5 days in open water by law. It's like state law. Um, it's not a dive instructor or the agency rule. um, I think that means that you are getting a lot more attention for a diver. Every diver gets more attention. They get 5 days at least so it's 1 day of confined and 4 days of actual diving. I think that's better.
You know how many people I met that did the 3 day course, open water course in Thailand, and
Hundreds,
and
hundreds,
and then they come to a refresher course because it was a year since their
and they
course,
don't know anything.
and then you tell them take off your mask, and they jump out of the water because they have water up their nose, and then you ask
They
them,
can't assemble gear.
yes, of course, but even if you teach them 5 days and they come after a year, they don't know how to assemble gears. They don't remember, but the when you ask them how many times did you take off your mask in the course, they said, I think once, or I didn't like it, so the instructor didn't make me to do that. And when you're doing when I'm pretty much retired of that, but when I did a lot of open water courses, I don't think that anybody finished a course with me after 5 days that did not take off his mask over 20 times. No, it's
Look,
basic.
we when we did this again, and this is the standards. I'm not going to be like a dinosaur instructor here and be like, oh, when we were in the back in my day, we did it right, and every course was Navy SEAL 2 weeks running on the beach with tanks on our head. No, no, okay, but the level of instruction that is happening now, I think that if you are honest with yourself, it basically teaches you how to be just enough to follow a dive master on a 20-meter, unlimited visibility, excellent, warm water in Cozumel, Thailand, in Indonesia, those warm weather places. That's what it teaches you to follow a dive master for 35 minutes. And the computer is there. You just need to make sure that the computer it's only there to do the 3 minutes of the safety stop, because you don't really look at it the rest of the time. I mean, let's be honest. Why would they look? It's 20 meters. You're going to
Yep.
run out of air way before you get it into any kind of decompression thing. So that's the only reason they even. I mean, some of these places. So I know, like in Asia, there's places where they don't even make you. They don't even put a computer on you. Sandy bottom. The
Yep.
bottom's at 20. They're like, how deep can you go? That's it. We don't need to. You don't need to know the depth. You don't just need to know when you hit the number, the magic 90 bars on your tank. Dive master, take them up. You do, and the dive master comes right back down. They send you to the boat. It's fine, but you need to be honest with yourself. That's what happens when you do an open water, that you are not able to do things in an independent way. And again, going back to why diving in Israel can be amazing. Let's say that you did your open water in Thailand and you want to take this seriously. Okay. You come to Israel and you're like, hey, I am an open water diver. I did 2 days, 3 days in Thailand. I would like to go diving. And, an instructor like you, and even if you don't let a year pass, an instructor like you or an instructor like any one of the instructors, even the ones who have an attitude and their ego is very big, even those guys, they will have some sort of way of, they don't want someone to die in their water, in their gear.
Hmm.
Even if they don't like you, even if they think you're stupid, even if they think, so they might give you a check dive, they might not, you go with a buddy, and hopefully you can practice enough so that the next time you go to a dive, you are not just some schmuck who did open water in 3 days in Thailand, and you think that you're like Jacques Cousteau, or you think that you can now do cave diving explorations to 100 meters.
Well, when I was a dive center manager, and I always recommended people to do these small courses of buoyancy and like work on your skills. I tell everybody you should dive nitrox, don't dive air. It's the right thing to do. You will feel better. You can do shorter breaks between dives. And if something happens, you know, only 2% of dive accident that finished somebody got the compression is with nitrox. 98% is with air. So I want safety. Let's dive nitrox. And I'm talking about 20, 30 meters dive. If you go and dive 5 meters, it's not really important. But buoyancy is, you say that a body that finishes air fast is really bad for your for experience and for your fun. Buoyancy is the key. So I think that all these specialities to do like buoyancy and navigation and nitrox, and then when you have enough dives, so to do rescue diver and deep diver, so you can go to 40 meters deep. It will make your life easier. You will not be a potato. You go into the water and you will feel better. I tell people after you do rescue diver, then you're a diver. Then and
And I
it
think
help
that's the
you.
thing.
You will feel it on yourself. It's not for helping other people.
So 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 with all the negatives, right? There's three things that you have to have insurance, which I think is a good idea. Anyways, I dive with insurance even in places that I don't have to. You need to dive with a buddy, and you have to have dived within the last 6 months. Okay, sure. Those are the three rules that Israel is very strict about. But other than that, the water is great. The temperature is fantastic. The instructors, I mean, you can learn anything in Israel. You can do any course you talked about, like, let's say the peak performance buoyancy is something that you don't care about, and you're like, oh, I'm going to learn it on my own. Okay, let's say that you do, but you can learn scooters and nitrox and deep dive and actual deep dive. Because in some places they take you to 32 meters and they say that's it. I mean, because to get to 40, it's another half hour on the boat, and you're basically with other open water divers. Or
Yeah,
like you're diving, it's not, you're basically going to the same spot, but it's you touched 32 is like to the sand with a shovel, right? You put your you know the thing where you put your computer into the sand,
yeah,
like the people who go to the ELA, they want to see the 50. You have to go to the sand, put your
yeah,
hand in deep in the sand and look, and you see the 50 because it's like at 46 or something, 40, 43, the top of it. So I mean, you can do proper deep dives, you can do proper nitrox, and twin set, long hose, rebreathers, side mount, anything that you want to learn. There's someone in Israel who teaches it, and not all of them are, that one guy that we all hate.
yeah,
Okay. Or that one instructor that everyone knows is a scammer, whatever. There's proper places that do this properly, and, good instructors with good heads on their shoulders. Even with the big egos, they still do a really good job, and they properly do it. They know what they're like. There's people who teach dry suit in Israel, but to their credit, they dive dry suit every time. They go on an intro dive with a dry suit,
Mhm. Well, they
or
are
they
very,
discover scuba
let's say that the diving instructors are usually young people in Israel, and it's like something that you do after you finish the army service. But uh, still, they will have a lot of experience after a year than instructors in other places. I can tell you that when I was a diving center manager in Tel Aviv, we had the issue with the weather. I think that around 200 days a year, I needed to cancel diving because of the waves. I always said that if you want to survive as a business in the Mediterranean Sea in Israel, you have to have a dive center that is a surfing center as well. You have waves, go surfing. You have flat water, go to the diving. So this is the problem in places with real, waves and weather condition. In Eilat, you will
in
have
Eilat. You can do 5
90% of the
dives a
day.
day, every single day. I mean, I've been to single day, 24 hours in Eilat, where I showed up at 1 p.m. And by 1 p.m. the next day, I've done 5 serious dives, like
Well, you
regular open water dives,
you
including a
enjoy
night
that.
dive, which is a treat.
Yeah, you
Night dives
enjoy
don't cost
that.
extra.
For me, it's not vacation to do five dives in
I
24
know.
hours.
But what I'm saying is the amount of experience you can have. I know that you don't enjoy that, but if you wanted to gain a lot of
You can
experience
do whatever you
quickly,
want. You can be in the water for hours every
hours,
day.
every day
You
there.
can
It's
practice,
like a
you can
big
work
bathtub
on your
and
skills,
practice. Absolutely. And if you
you
go
will
with a
not
coach, I
find.
do think that scuba coaching is a good idea. And coaching, remember, this is not a certificate.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
I
not a
understand.
course, nothing. This is just you go with someone who knows what they're doing, and they're not your safety monitor. They're not your buddy that you pay a buddy to go with you. You're paying for them to give you a skill and to actually look at you and to give you feedback. Just like LeBron James needs someone to tell him how he moves his finger on the ball is affecting the way he's dribbling, and he's the best in the world. The best in the
Yeah.
world.
Just
They have
choose
coaches.
a coach that is somebody to rely on, because a lot of people will volunteer to coach you, and they can coach you to
Yeah,
the wrong way to
absolutely.
do things.
Hey, I think that some people will volunteer to coach you and they have no business coaching anybody. I think some people have a ridiculous attitude, but you connect to them on some level. And I'm like, why are you talking to this guy? I don't know. I like him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you can learn from somebody, you can learn from somebody. I think that in the early stages, you should probably go for people who have word of mouth is a good way of doing it. Like I worked with him, he helped me, and so on. I think a good coach has video debrief. I think a good coach talks to you before you even go into the water.
I really
And
recommend that if you're a young diver, if you're somebody that have only 10, 20, 30 dives, go to a professional. Go with dive masters into the water, go with instructors into the water. Have your 40, 50, 60 dives, so you will have the way to judge if somebody is a good coach, if he's a good diver to give you advice. Because I just heard about this father that asked for experience advanced open water diver to take his 12-year-old son that just finished his open water course to as a buddy to go diving. And I said to this guy, listen, I hope that you love your son and you're willing to pay some more money to send him to the water until he have 20, 30, 40 dives with
yeah,
somebody that can take care of 12-year-old open water diver with 12 dives in his logbook, and not send him with some random guy that says, yeah, I'm a diver, I have 50 dives.
Insta buddy.
Yeah, so you need to
So here's
give
what I
money
think. Here's
to
what I
dive
think.
centers at the beginning, then start go with
To
buddies.
close, so to close this discussion out, we started this with saying most of the people that I talk to who come from Israel, who are Israelis who dive, the first thing they say when I ask them, okay, so where do you go diving? It's like Israel sucks. There's nothing to do in Israel. I think that's wrong. I think that there's the. I understand the arguments. I understand the negatives. To me, even if you go and all you see is sand, the experience is worth it, especially for people who are relatively new. Look, if you have, 1,000 dives and you're a dive master instructor and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I understand it. It's like, I dive once in a while just to kind of with my friends or something, like you said, my neighbor's sister my neighbor's daughter got certified, 15-year-old kid, and I'm going to take them into the water with me just for fun because I'm like Mr. Big Diver. Okay. But in general, I think that if you're a new diver, going down to Eilat or even going to the Mediterranean when it's possible, getting that experience cheaply and available. It's close to home. Look, at the end of the day, you can be asleep in your own bed. You don't have to fly anywhere. You don't have to pay anyone to take you places. You don't have to rent a car. You don't need to, you already have insurance for diving. It's like a yearly thing. It's doing it in your language. And I think that diving in the Mediterranean, if you're going to be diving in the world, in the big world, and I've been to a lot of places. If you're going to be diving in the big world, the experience you get from diving in the Mediterranean is more valuable than the experience you're getting from diving in Eilat. going on a boat in a little bit of waves, in some current, in visibility, that's more common to, or that's more helpful to most of the diving that you will find when you're going, even in the Caribbean, even in the warm Caribbean waters of,
You will always have
you know,
current, and people need to know how to deal with current.
and the most dangerous thing in the water is the boat, and you need to learn how to deal with the boat and getting on the boat and getting off the boat. Look, remember in the Maldives, we got banged a little bit, right? Getting back on the doni with that rope that you have to hold on to it. And, it's an experience. After something like that, you're like, when you get on a boat that's a little bit rocky, you don't really feel it. So I think that getting on getting on those dives, I think it's very important in the development of new divers. And I think that unless you really are Mr. Big Diver and you really know what you're doing and you've been there and done that, I think there's a lot to be learned from diving in Israel. And I think people should give a shit about their hobby and they should just go
Yeah.
and do it. What do you
Okay.
say?
I'm convinced.
Okay.
I'll go diving now in the Mediterranean Sea.
I would like to remember that dive we did. What's his name? The Hanan. We went,
What?
I think, in Ashkelon.
In Ashkelon?
We did the dive there. It was amazing, fantastic. It was great. Um, so listen, this has been the dive jump. This is going to be our podcast. We're going to put it on wherever it is that we're going to put this thing. Look at the recording, and we'll put it somewhere. I hope everyone who did listen all the way enjoyed the ramblings of two insane people who really should not be talking about this. But I guess that's what you get.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Have a good
Okay,
one. My favorite dive buddy in the world, right there.
definitely.
Bye, Galgal.
Bye.